Hey guys, welcome to today's live session. My name is Jalen Heron, and we're going to be creating a toilet paper roll dairy cow. Do you want to know why we're making a dairy cow today? We're making a dairy cow because June is Dairy Month. So first, I'm going to show you all the things that you need to make this dairy cow. First, you're going to need a paper plate to put your paint on. Next, you're going to need a white piece of paper. I'm using a computer piece of paper from my printer. Newspaper to lay down so we don't get the table dirty. Brown paint. White paint. Green paint, and some pink paint. If you don't have paint, you can use washable markers instead. You also will need a toilet paper roll. Make sure that you take the toilet paper off after you've already used it all. You're going to need two different sizes of toothbrushes or paintbrushes. One is going to be a little bit bigger. You're going to paint this with the white paint. And then a smaller paintbrush to do the spots on the cow. You'll also need a pencil if you want to draw the spots before you paint them on. A black marker to paint on the face of the cow. I'm using a Sharpie, but I advise that you'd use a washable marker. Some scissors to cut your paper. Make sure that you have a parent around. I also have a paper towel to wipe off my paintbrushes after using them. I have a cup of water to clean off my paintbrushes. And then last, I have a low temperature hot glue gun, but if you don't have access to one of these, I advise using Elmer's glue. And if you are using a hot glue gun, make sure that you have a parent around to watch while you're doing it. So let's get started. So the first step you're going to do is you're going to take your newspaper and you're going to lay it across in front of you to make sure that you have a clean area space. Next, you are going to take your paper plate and you're going to put your different paint colors on here. When you're putting the paint on your paper plate, you don't have to put a lot on because, as you know, toilet paper rolls aren't really that big, so it's not going to take that much paint to use. So for reference, well, I'll show you with the different color because white's kind of hard to show up. So sometimes if you haven't used your paint in a while, you need to shake it up a little bit. So here I am shaking up my paint to make sure that it doesn't come out too watery. So I just put a little bit of green on there. So for reference, the green, you can tell it's not that much bigger to do your, it's not that much bigger than my finger. So for reference, it's probably around like a penny size of paint. Next, I have my pink. And again, shake it up to make sure that it's okay. And I'm just going to put a little dab of pink on there. I'm running out of pink, so the last color is the brown. With the spots of your dairy cows come in multiple different colors. There's reddish brown, there's brown, and there's black, which is called the Holstein cow. But for today, I'm going to be doing a cow with brown spots. So again, here's the amount of paint. Now what you're going to do is you're going to start painting your toilet paper roll. So when you paint your toilet paper roll, you're going to take your large brush. You take your large brush. I have recently used my brush to paint something else. So my brush is kind of hard right now. So I'm just, in the actual cup, I'm just softening up the brush. They're called bristles. So then it's going to be easier for me to paint on the toilet paper roll. Now I'm grabbing the paper towel and I'm just dabbing the paintbrush so then my paint won't be too watered down. So first step I'm going to do, I'm getting the white paint right now, and I'm just going to do big strokes on the toilet paper roll. It may take a few layers for it to turn up white like this, because if you think about it, on your paper plate. So that's what I'm doing right here. I'm just using the rest of my white to make sure I have enough to color up my toilet paper roll. So I have some dairy facts to share with everyone because, like I said, June is Dairy Month. Today I'm going to be focusing on dairy facts about a cow. So there's different types of cattle, and there's different names for boys and girls. The first one is, it's called a heifer. A heifer is a female dairy cattle. So that would be, if you could think of, if you have a sister, if you have a neighbor, if you have someone in your life that's a girl, in cow terms, they'd be called a heifer. But if you're calling, but once a heifer has a baby is called a calf, but the mama cattle, that's called a cow. I thought that that was pretty cool that they have different names for different stages of life. So as you can see right here, I'm just painting the toilet paper roll still. I'm trying to make sure that it's all covered very nicely, because if you can see right there, you can kind of see the toilet paper roll still. So I'm just going to go over it one more time to make sure I'm covering it all. Also, if you're using paint, I would suggest using washable paint, because as you can see, my fingers are getting a little bit covered in the paint, which is okay, because with washable paint, you'll just go wash your hands and it'll come right off. So now that I have painted my toilet paper roll white around all of it, I'm going to set it aside, and I'm going to take my paintbrush and I'm going to put it back in the cup, and I'm just going to go back and forth, trying to get the white off my paintbrush. I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to use my paper towel to wipe off my hands a little bit so I don't get white paint on the rest of my project. Now, if you would take your white piece of paper right here, we are going to cut it and start making the ears and the tail and the grass of the dairy cow. So first, you can use a pencil if you want to draw a straight line, but I'm just going to cut it for the sake of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a strip off of the side of the paper. It doesn't matter if you have your piece of paper hot dog style or if you have it hamburger style. Either way will work. So now that I have my strip of paper, I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm going to fold this little piece of paper in half. And make sure my crease is nice and straight like that. Now I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to make the ears of the cow. If you can see how the shape of the ears of the cow, it kind of looks like a half of an orange, like an orange slice, or a little bit like a thicker moon shape. So I'm going to draw the ear starting on the folded part because when you use the folded part, that means we're going to get 2 ears instead of 1 ear. So here I am just making that little orange slice to resemble the ear of my cow. So this is what I did. And of course, it doesn't have to be perfect. No two cows are the same. They all can be unique. So again, I made sure to draw it on the crease right there. Now I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just cutting the ear out, following the lines that I drew. And if you unfold it, you can see it kind of looks like a football. But we don't want football ears. We want little orange slice ears. So here we are with this again. If you unfold it and you cut across the middle line, then you'll have your 2 ears. So here are going to be your 2 cow ears. You can move your scissors to the side. So now we are going to start painting the pink inside of the ears. So this is when you're going to have to grab your other paintbrush right here. And again, I had recently used this, so I'm just going to put it in the water, loosen up the bristles a little bit, use my paper towel to dry it off so my paint isn't watery. And then I'm going to grab my paint, and I have my little cow ear. And now I'm just putting pink in the middle of the ear. And of course, this doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm just painting it. And I think that I prefer how dark it is right now, so I'm just going to do 1 coat. If you would like it to be a darker pink, you can continue to put on more layers of pink. Also, since we put down the newspaper, I got a little pink on the paper, but that's okay because we set that there in case that happens. But cows normally have 2 ears unless they have something happen to it, and that's okay too. So our cow has 2 ears, so we got to do the other ear as well. So here we grab more of the pink paint and we're just coloring the inside of the ear. Again, I prefer how dark this is, so I'm not going to do another layer. Now you need to clean off your paintbrush because we're going to be using it to draw brown spots on the ears. So here I am just making sure all the pink is off of my paintbrush. I'm going to grab my paper towel. I'm going to wipe off the water and any excess pink. Now I'm going to grab my brown paint and I'm just going to paint little dots. If you would like to use your pencil to draw the spots, that's okay. But right now I'm just going to do it freehand. So if you could tell, I'm just drawing little squigglies and I'm going to fill that in with brown. You don't have to put your spots in the same area that I'm putting my spots. You can put your spots on your cow's ears wherever you want them. So I think that looks pretty good for my first ear. So I'm going to set that aside next to my toilet paper roll and I'm going to let that dry. Next, I'm going to grab a little bit more brown paint and I'm going to, again, draw some more spots on my cow's ear. If you ever see a cow out in the field or at the county fair, you might have noticed that they have something on their ear. They have in their ear, it's called an ear tag. An ear tag makes their farmer know who they are. And it's kind of like a name tag that you might wear at a day camp, at a school, or anything where you need to have your name on so other people know where you're at. So I'm just, again, cleaning my brush and we're just going to leave it in there with the other paintbrush. So now we're going to take our piece of paper again, and now we're going to make the tail. So again, we are just going to cut another strip. You can use a pencil if you want to draw the line, or you could just cut like I am. So now we have our strip of paper. I'm going to fold it in half like this, hot dog style. And I'm going to make sure that crease on the top is really, really good. Next, I'm going to cut this in half because I don't think that my cow's tail should be that long. So I'm going to cut that in half, and I'm going to set this off to the side. And then I'm going to fold this piece in half again. So we're just making sure that it's nice and tight. If it's not straight, that's okay too. But if you would like it to be straight, you can always unfold it and retry again. So now that this is nice and tight and folded, we are going to add some brown spots to this as well. So you're going to take out your smaller paintbrush and again, wipe it off on your paper towel. And you're going to grab your brown paint and you're going to just draw little spots on your tail. If you don't want your cow to have spots on its tail, you don't have to do this either. So here I'm just going to draw a little spot there, maybe one right there, skip a little space, and do one down there. Now I'm going to put this aside because we're done with that right now. We're going to let that dry. Now if you take your piece of paper that you had folded recently, we're going to unfold it and we're going to cut a square out of it. Now you're going to cut up and down on the square like this to make little fringes because this is going to be the cow's tail. It's going to be the fur part of it. Cows use their tails to swat away flies because when they're outside and it's all hot, sometimes flies like to be on their back and they don't really like that. So they use their tail to go like this so the flies go away. So now you have the fringes. So you're going to put them like so in the tail. But first, we're going to paint the hair brown. Again, take it out of your cup, wipe it off on the paper towel, and grab some more brown paint. You can either paint it while it's still folded, or I find it to be easier if you unfold it again and just paint all of it. So here, I am making sure to cover all of the fringes that I made. And it's okay to get a little messy because you have that newspaper already laying down. Also, if you just did what I did and the fringe gets bent in half, that is perfectly okay. You can unbend it. So I'm just making sure that I'm covering as much of the fur as I desire. I want to try to cover as much white as possible. So I'm going to continue to do a few more layers. But now I have it completely covered in the brown paint or the brown marker if you're using markers. And I'm going to set this off to the side for when we are ready to glue. Now we are going to cut the paper again, put your paintbrush back in your water. We're going to cut the paper again for the grass. We have grass around the bottom of the cow. So again, take your piece of paper and cut another strip. Here, I'm just cutting a strip and we are going to make it into grass. So I think that when I cut grass, I think it looks like dinosaur teeth. I don't know if that's what you guys are going to think, but that's what I think it resembles. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm just going to draw some dragon teeth with my pencil to make my grass. You can take as much time as you want on this step. I think that it might add to my grass if they're not all exactly the same. So I have my dinosaur teeth right now, and I have them all drawn out. So now I'm going to get my scissors, and I'm going to cut out my dragon teeth. So I have another question for you guys about Dairy Month. So personally, my favorite way to get dairy is to eat ice cream. But I was curious to know, what is the most popular ice cream flavor in America right now? I personally like cookies and cream or mint chocolate chip, but I found out that the most popular flavor in America is vanilla. Do you guys think that vanilla should be the most liked, or do you have a different flavor of ice cream that you guys like? If you have a different flavor, you can add it in the comments. So now we're going to take our paintbrush again. It might take a little bit longer to get the paint off of the paintbrush because it was brown. And now we're going to a lighter color. We're going to go to green. So now I have the brown off and I'm wiping it off of my paintbrush onto the paper towel. So now I'm going to get some of my green and I'm just going to paint the paper, paint my grass. Again, I don't really think that for me, it's going to take more than one coat. It seems like it's really taking up the color nicely. If you're using markers to color, you can use the markers by going up and down with your strokes, or you can go super fast and you can just color as quickly as you can. Whatever you prefer to do, this is your project and you can do whatever you want with it. So again, as you can maybe tell, now, in addition to the white on my fingers, I'm going to get some green paint. But that's okay because my paint is washable. So all I'm going to have to do is go wash my hands after this. And then I won't probably look like the Hulk on my fingers. Here, I'm just doing quick strokes to get all of the paper covered in green. I'm also not trying to put too much paint on because the more paint you put on, the longer it takes to dry. So now that I have this covered in green, I'm going to put my paintbrush back in the water. And now I have my shark teeth that are green. I'm going to put that off to the side and let that dry. Now I'm going to go back to my toilet paper roll. And if you lightly tap it and you see that it's not on your fingers, well, so it's not on my finger, so I know it's dry. Now we're going to draw the face of the cow. So when you're drawing the face of the cow, you can do this however you want, but I think that he should have some eyebrows. So I'm going to start by looking at the toilet paper roll and figuring out where exactly I want the face to be, because the toilet paper roll has these lines. So I'm going to pick this area right here to put the face of my cow. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the two lines for the eyebrows. Just two little lines that are slanted for the eyebrows. Next, I'm just going to draw a circle and a circle for the eyes. For the nose and the mouth, I'm going to draw a big circle, like so. And then I'm going to put 2 little nostrils and a mouth. I'll show you on the finished product because it's a little bit easier to see once it's completely painted. So now I'm going to grab my black marker and I'm just going to go over what I drew. I'm going to first go over the eyebrows, make them a little bit more defined so they're easier to see. And then I'm just going to go over the circles for the eyes. Next, I'm going to put the marker aside. I'm going to grab my small brush again, make sure all the green is off the brush. And we're going to get ready to make the mouth of the cow. Again, wiping it off so the pink and the green don't combine. I'm going to grab my pink. I'm just going to do a light coat in that circle. If you do a light coat, you should still be able to see the marks that you made with the pencil. So I'm just lightly going over it because the pink shows up really well on top of the white. So now I've covered it all up, but I can still see the part where I put the nostrils and the mouth. So I'm going to not do that yet because the paint is still drying. But now we're going to move to making the spots. So here I'm making sure that all the pink is off of my paintbrush. And again, wiping off the pink so it doesn't get to be with my brown. So for this part, you could use a pencil to draw out the different spots, or you could do the spots freehand. I'm just going to do the spots freehand. So here I'm just drawing different spots. And some cows don't even have spots. So if you don't want to do this step, that's okay too. But here I am just making some spots. And I'm going to make sure that I include spots on the back of the toilet paper roll too, because cows could have spots all over their body, like how they were on their tail, they can be all over their body too. But again, I'm just doing this quick. You can take your time. Some spots look and resemble different things, like this one to me kind of looks like a peanut, which I think is kind of cool. So now I have that done. I'm going to put the brown back in here. And I'm just going to get the paint off. I'm going to set my toilet paper roll off to the side. I'm going to look at my ears now. I'm going to again lightly tap it to make sure that it's dry. And good news, my ears are dry. So we're going to glue the ears onto the toilet paper roll. I find it that it's easiest to glue the toilet paper roll and the ears together by gently folding the bottom of the ear, like so. So I've created a little fold right there on the ear. So now this is when you're going to take your glue and you're going to place the glue on the folded edge of the ear. Again, if you're using a low temperature glue gun, make sure to have a parent present. So I'm just going to put a gentle line across the ear, and I'm going to take my toilet paper roll and I'm just going to place it where I think the ear should be. Make sure that when you're putting the ear on, that you're just tapping and holding it to make sure it stays. So now I have one ear down. Now I'm going to take the other ear and do the same thing. I'm going to fold it on its edge like so. And I'm going to take the glue and I'm going to put it on the edge just very gently, especially if you're using some low temperature glue. You might not even have to use that much glue because it's pretty sturdy. So now I'm just going to look at my toilet paper roll and see where I want to put my other ear. So here I go with the other ear, pressing it down gently. So now I have both the ears done. So now if you tap, it seems like the mouth is pretty dry for me since I didn't do a very thick layer. So I'm going to take my marker again and I'm going to draw in the two nostrils and the mouth. So there we go. That is all done. I'm going to set this to the side because now we're going to start working on the tail, putting that together. So now we have the tail. It's completely dry. And let's see if the hair is dry. Yep, the hair is dry too. We're going to refold this hair one time and then 2 times. So it's a quarter of the size that it was. And what we're going to do is we're eventually going to stick the hair inside of the tail. So if you open up your tail where it's folded, like so, right here, we're going to take our hair, we're going to put a little dab of glue on it, and we're going to place it inside of the tail. Think about this as putting a hot dog inside of a hot dog bun. That's what I think it resembles. So we're just gonna press it together, make sure that's sticking, and then we're going to put glue inside of the rest of the hot dog bun to make sure it all stays together. Here we are. Looks like it's staying together pretty well. But also, you notice this tail seems like it might be a little long for this toilet paper roll. So I'm going to choose to cut it so it's a little bit smaller. Again, this is your toilet paper roll cow. You can do whatever you want with it. If you want it to have a long tail, you can definitely do that. So now I have the tail finished and I have my toilet paper cow. We're going to turn it around and we're going to put a little bit of glue where we want our tail. And then we're going to place our tail with the spots on the outside. So from the front, you can see your spots. We're just going to hold it there to make sure it stays. So it seems like it's staying. So now we only have a few more steps to do and we're going to be all done. So right now the majority of my cow is dry. So now I need to check to see how my grass is doing. My grass is dry. So we're going to do this. We're going to take our grass and we're going to measure to see how much of it we need to cover the full cow. So if you see on the back, this is extra right here. I can either choose to glue all of that together or I can choose to cut it. I'm going to choose to cut it. So I'm just going to cut it right here at this dinosaur tooth. And then I'm going to set these 3 to the side. Also, I think that the grass might be a little too tall. I think that I might have to do a little bit of mowing. So I'm going to take my grass and I'm just going to take a little bit off of the bottom with my scissors like so. Just so it's a little bit shorter and I can actually see my cow's mouth. So now that I have that, I'm going to recheck to see if this is a little bit better, and I think so. I can see my cow's mouth now. So we're gonna glue the grass on to the toilet paper roll. So you could just either one of two ways. You could put little dots of glue on your grass directly, or you could put it on the toilet paper roll. I find that for me, it's easier to put it on the grass. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put a little dab of glue on the first shark tooth, the third one, and then we're going to place those first and then glue a little bit after. So here I'm just using the first dinosaur tooth and putting it right below the mouth. I'm just following the bottom of the toilet paper roll when I press against the grass. So now I'm going to use the other method, and I'm just going to put the glue directly onto the toilet paper roll like so. And I'm just going to press the grass right onto it. Also, if you are using the low temperature glue, you might have these little spider webs that come as the glue dries. Make sure that you just put them off to the side so then you can throw them away later. So we are all done with making your cow friends. Now I have 2 cow friends that I get to celebrate June is Dairy Month with. Thank you guys so much for making this craft with me, and I hope you all take care.